There's a family out there that missed their $8,500 Royal Caribbean cruise vacation. And of course, the question I'm left with is, who do we blame? Who do we blame for this debacle? We've got a major shipbuilder being bailed out, and the cruise ducks, it's reared its little ugly rubber head again. I think I may have found the worst cruise duck hider ever. Yeah, that plus more. Cruise news and my views. Let's talk about it. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to La Little Loga. I am your host, Tony, here with the latest cruise news and views for your face. For your face on Monday the 9th of September, 2024. And wow, we've got another week in front of us. I think I'm less than a week from traveling to Italy, and I am ill prepared. I don't even know how to say that in Italian. That's how ill prepared I am. This is going to be a wild week, and it's starting off with a bunch of wild cruise news. First, let me do a correction to yesterday's cruise news episode. I talked about a Carnival cruise ship brushing up against baby iceberg. That's what I'm calling it. I don't think there's an official name. I think it was just floating ice, but it looked like an iceberg, but it wasn't a growler and it wasn't a full-on iceberg. Baby iceberg, that's what we're going to call it. We're going to call it the Grogu of icebergs. And I said it was the Carnival Splendor. But I don't know, Splendor was on my mind. She just came out of dry dock, making her way back to Australia. This event happened in Alaska in the Tracy Arm Fjord. And it's actually a cruise ship that I cruised through Tracy Arm Fjord on the Carnival Spirit. So there's a correction. Misspoke. It was the Carnival Spirit that had a little brush with ice, not the Carnival Splendor. Corrections, apologies for any confusion. Thanks for everybody who helped me out with that information. Okay, let's talk about this family that paid $8,500 for a cruise on a Royal Caribbean cruise ship. So this is the story of Trisha Lashane, pictured here. Postal worker, worked a bunch to save up $8,500 to go on cruise vacation for her 50th birthday, her and her family. And it's simple process. The cruise leaving out of Port Canaveral there in Orlando. She had to fly from New York City. She had to fly from New York City down to Orlando and then, shuttle over to Port Canaveral. And what happened is when she arrived at the airport on the day of her cruise, she found out that the flight that she had booked was going to be delayed because they did not have a crew available for her flight. And well, her flight was delayed from 9:54 a.m. That's when it was supposed to leave. It eventually left at 11:40 a.m. And by the time that she got to Orlando and shuttled over to Port Canaveral, she missed the boat. She got there too late for embarkation and the ship sailed away without her. So as you can imagine, standing there on the dock, watching your cruise ship sail away, all this stuff starts to flurry through your head. I'm out a whole bunch of money is probably the biggest thing that starts to flurry through your head. And well, Trisha got with a local television station where she lived to get some of her money back. Now, incredibly, she got her full cruise fare back even before engaging the TV people. So what a solid by Royal Caribbean. They saw the circumstance and they refunded this lady her cruise. But she wanted money back from Delta because she missed her cruise. Initially, Delta offered her $250 e-credit for the travel troubles that she had, which is wild. That doesn't normally happen. And then after working with the TV station, she got her full $2,600 in flight money refunded. Turns out to be a good story because she got all the money back that she essentially lost out on. I'm happy for that. You don't want to see anybody without money, but who's to blame here? She's kind of to blame here. And I'm not trying to pile on, but I bring the story up so that I can remind all of you guys out there that if you're flying the day of the cruise, you run the risk. You run the risk of missing the cruise ship. Here is another example. Just try to fly in the day before your cruise. That's all I'm saying. And on top of that, if you are worried about losing money because you're putting it at risk by doing risky things, honestly, get yourself some insurance. Get yourself some cruise insurance. That way, if you miss your cruise because of a flight, that kind of thing, you can get reimbursed. But fortunately, it sounds like she got reimbursed everything, and hopefully she gets on another cruise. I'll throw it over to you. Who's to blame here for the missed cruise? Is it the airline? Is it Royal Caribbean, or is it the cruiser? Cruise news story number 2, an interesting story in the cruising space. German shipbuilder Meyer Werft, well, they've had financial troubles, even though they've had a pretty consistent run book of future cruise builds. And they're to the point where it looks like they were going to go out of business. And well, they've got themselves a big bailout. Now, there's been a couple Meyer Werft cruise news stories recently. A big one, is that Disney Cruise Line has committed to get, I think, at least 4 cruise ships built at that shipyard, which is a big boon for business, but it still wasn't enough to save them from their financial woes. So in an interesting move, the federal government of Germany has purchased 40% of the shipyard business. Now, what's wild is the federal government in Germany not going to be the only governmental entity to own part of this shipyard. The state of Lower Saxony also owns 40% of the shipyard. So altogether, you have an 80% ownership of Meyer Werft now by governmental entities. And what do you get with that? Well, you get a big old deep pocketbook. How deep a pocketbook? How big a bank account? Well, the government in the Lower Saxony, they're going to be providing a line of credit with an 80% guarantee on that line of credit of 2.6 billion euros. The banks that join in that $2.6 billion of credit, they will assume 20% of the risk. So even banks are able to get in this with little risk. I think Meyer Werft is going to be fine. They've got a big run book in front of them. They struggled coming out of the pandemic. And this is definitely a boon. Full-on federal government in the cruise ship business over there in Germany. Cruise news story number 3 makes me feel kind of gassy, all gassy. Not gassy like that. It's a story about fuel, and it's about the cruise industry's effort to move away from fossil fuels. Fossil fuels, one of those things, finite resources to get fossil fuels out of the earth. And so the movement is in place to make renewable bio marine fuel. And there's a company out there called Varo Energy, V-A-R-O Energy, that has been making 100% renewable bio marine fuel, but it has not been deployed in the cruise industry in a massive way. Well, now, today's story, we have AIDAPrima doing the first trial of a cruise ship that's going to sail with 100% renewable bio marine fuel. I don't understand all the intricacies of 100% renewable bio marine fuel, but essentially I believe it's made out of food waste. I think that's, again, I probably should do a deeper dive, but the result is there is a fuel source for cruise ships that's not from fossil fuels, that is cleaner burning, better emission profile, less greenhouse gases, made from a renewable source that can be duplicated over and over without, using scarce resources. I believe that's the big takeaway, and AIDAPrima going to try it out. They've got it on the ship there in Amsterdam. They're going to refuel as they do their cruise up to the Norwegian fjords. And if it works well, and it's kind of like a test case, and it could be a beginning of something in the cruise industry if that proves out to be a reasonable fuel source. Maybe we'll see more and more ships burning this cleaner, renewable fuel. I don't know. I'm all for trying to use technology and new innovations to improve the environmental profile of cruising. That's one of the things that the industry gets knocked on. So that's good for business. And and good for the world, I suppose, too. Now, I've got a couple cruise duck tidbits for you, including what I feel like is the worst cruise duck hider ever. But before I share those things with you, let me quickly invite you to subscribe. If you like staying up to date with everything going on in cruising, please consider subscribing with the notification bell on. That way you don't miss out on any of these episodes. A big thank you in advance. Thank you in advance. Okay, here's the deal. There is a lot of hubbub out there about cruise ducks. Should you hide cruise ducks on a cruise ship? Should you not hide cruise ducks on a cruise ship? What should cruise lines do when they find the ducks on a cruise ship? Should they throw them away? Should they leave them where they're at? I never knew there would be this much complicated talk. The most thought I've ever had about a cruise duck or a rubber duck throws me back to when I was a kid watching Ernie from Sesame Street. My personal take is I really don't care about these cruise ducks, but I'm not going to throw them away. They're over there in the towel animal realm with me. Just something I don't even care about, okay? But there's a pretty heated debate playing out over on Reddit where people are kind of arguing what the right approach would be. You have some people saying it's the best thing since sliced bread to hide these these rubber ducks. And then you have other people saying, if I find them, I throw them away. And so is that too extreme? Do you think that people should be actively, and the funny thing is the people that are throwing them away, it sounds like they're hunting for the ducks just to throw them away. That seems kind of foul. Foul. Is there something broken in these people that would hunt the ducks just to throw them away? Shall we consult Dr. Freud? Is it something to do with a latent love affair with their mothers? I don't know, but what I do know for sure is that this person here is the worst hider of ducks ever. I see it. I see it plain as day. I guess there is the obstacle of getting into that person's cabin. Well, I don't know. What do you think? Either way, thank you for watching the show today. Make sure you check out the recommended episode next. This is Tony for La Lido Loca. Until the next time, we'll see you on the Lido. It's a fowls. It's a bird. It's like ducks or fowl. See you on Lido.